Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode, show, presentation, all the good stuff of the All Dolphins podcast, which you can find on YouTube.
It's a discussion, Alain
Okay,
Poupart.
let me finish with the intro, and then we can start debating. YouTube All Dolphins podcast. It's also available where you can find your podcasts on the Fans First Sports Network under Miami Dolphins Insider for discussion, debate, show, whatever. Now you can call it whatever you want to call it. Hi, Omar.
It's a conversation, Alan.
Oh, there you go. Okay, conversation. I like that. That works.
You know what the difference is between me and you? We don't intentionally fight, and we don't really fight. We have discussions. We don't have debates. We have conversations. And somebody pointed out on Twitter, we will make a point to one another, and we will concede and acknowledge the point, and let the conversation end there, as opposed to somebody trying. This Twitter space is forcefully forcing somebody to admit to your opinion or side with your opinion. Like I have never understood that, because I don't need people to agree with me. I don't.
Not
I
only
want.
that,
I just want to have a dialogue and a conversation.
correct. And not only that, yes, both you and I are allowed to change our opinion if facts are presented to us. And then opinions change as more facts are presented, whether it be the opinion of somebody else or what we see with our eyes. There are players who I initially did not particularly care for who grew on me, and there were other players who I initially thought, damn, that's a good player, and eventually was like, yeah, no, not really.
I need a name. Who grew on you?
Man, I should have come prepared with a name, shouldn't I? That's bad on my part. I can't think. I can't think. It was a late night last night with the Panthers going to overtime, and me at the.
I give you an example. Tanner Connor grew on me last year. Really liked him. Then I was like, watched him in this camp. I was like, not sure what I was looking at. And so
I agree. And he didn't grow on me when the regular season started, and he dropped 2 to 3 passes thrown his way, which was highly, highly disappointing. And do I really want to go there? No, I don't want to go there. I was going to point out that the passes he dropped were from Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson, one of the other two. They were in games where Tua was injured, which didn't help. So maybe Tua. This is why I don't want to. I'm not getting into the weeds with there. There's no point.
Give you another one.
Go ahead.
Guy that I was like, no way is he going to be a good quarterback, was Skylar Thompson. Then I was like, oh man, you're showing me something. In training camp last year, obviously he didn't do anything during the season. Didn't expect much from him in this camp, and I'm impressed. I'm like, there might be something there again.
When he came in, I didn't know a whole lot about him, and it was like, okay, completely open mind, blank slate. Let me see what he's got. And there were things I like, and he was very good in the preseason. And then it was like to the point where Dolphins have no choice. This wasn't a case where, like, this year, every team logically is going to keep 3 quarterbacks because of the new emergency quarterback rule, which, important to point out, for any team to use that 3rd quarterback as an emergency quarterback on game day, he has to be on the active roster. It can't be somebody you elevate from the practice squad just for the purpose of making him the emergency quarterback. So this is why I think you're going to see practically every team carry 3 quarterbacks. Dolphins is going to be obviously 2 of Mike White and Skylar Thompson. Last year, teams had the luxury of just having a guy in the practice squad because you were going to only have 2 anyway. And Skylar basically gave the Dolphins no choice, because had they exposed them to waivers, which is necessary to bring him back on the practice squad, probably somebody would have brought him back. But I'm still in the discovery phase with Skylar Thompson. The fact that, if we're going to be honest, he didn't particularly perform all that well in the regular season last year, had really poor numbers in the game against Buffalo. See, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be a nice Canadian.
Don't soft step it. He was garbage.
He had a rough outing.
They won despite of him.
Well, they lost the playoff game. They won the regular season finale against the Jets because the Jets offense was complete trash, and the Dolphin defense at that time, because the offensive line was, we want to talk about the Dolphin offensive line being bad. The defense gave the Jets no chance in that game. They weren't going to lose. Anyway, we're not here to talk about, we were kind of, somebody mentioned that they like this word. We're digressing again. So Dolphins wrapped up their offseason program on Thursday with their final minicamp practice. The rookies will stay around for a little bit longer. I'm not exactly sure how long, much longer for rookie orientation, but the veterans, sayonara, have fun. Don't do anything crazy. Get yourself in shape for the start of training camp in late July, but
don't get arrested.
That's
try not to add your baby mom to add to your baby mama list. Just keep your baby mama.
The first one is really a good starting point, actually.
The second one's important too.
Sorry?
Second one's important too.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't affect
less baby mamas, less child support.
Yeah, but it doesn't affect the player's status, whereas getting arrested could become problematic in that area. Anyway, so they're done with the on the field stuff. Yesterday was a final practice. Man, not a good day for the offense. Woo, man. Yeesh.
It happens. According to Vic Fangio or Frank Smith, they were throwing things at him as I expected, throwing them different looks, blitzing at him. I mean, you're not going to see, and that's what we saw most of the OTA practices. You saw vanilla defense. They weren't throwing pressures at him or blitzes at him or trying to do various disguises of coverages. It was just vanilla, and the offense did okay. Didn't embarrass itself. Now when I guess Vic Fangio threw a little blitzes at them, they struggled. We saw a 4 turnover day. I could honestly say that's an it was 5?
5 picks. Okay. Bryce Thompson 2, Justin Bethel, Xavier Howard, and Burrow McKinley.
Yeah. That doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me either because it's June and it's 2 picks from Tua, 2 from Skyler, and 1 from Mike White, or vice versa. It wasn't like there wasn't one quarterback, and this is important because people think that we can be haters. I can be a hater, whatever. It wasn't that case where any quarterback was like, "Oh my God, that was horrible." No, it wasn't like
there was one to a pass where he had to be throwing it away. He had to be just like, okay, let me just chuck it downfield, see what happens, giving a receiver a chance. But it was after a sack, and that was the McKinley.
Yeah, there was a guy in his face, and he kind of like chucked it, basically.
Yeah.
No,
I looked at that as maybe they were playing like a hurry-up situation. 4th quarter, you're trailing. It's 3rd and 8, and you have to do something. So, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, it wasn't like one of those where he planted his feet and then was trying to hit a target. No, absolutely. And then the other pick was basically X jumped the route where he was throwing a slant to. We're still a debate on whether it was Eric Ezukama or Braylon Sanders. I'm not sure. And to me, that was 100%. That play is just X making a great cornerback play where he read
he's gonna
broke it.
Yeah, he's gonna. And this is where I think X in this scheme where the cornerbacks are not always trailing, but sometimes facing, or they have this term, the shell, which honestly is new to me. So I'm, going to be doing some research this summer, where they keep everything in front of them in the shell. X, yeah, and that's what I'm like. People are so obsessed about Jalen Ramsey being in this defense. Are you kidding me? Put X in a defense where he's reading a quarterback's eyes? Have you seen his ability to jump balls? Like crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a ball magnet.
I've said all along is if there's a better cornerback in terms of ball skills and making plays on the ball, I want to see him, and I want some evidence because X is phenomenal at that part.
Do you remember those Adam Gase practices where he took away Devontae Parker's confidence that season?
Man, yes. And yes,
it was actually just absolutely just destroyed Devontae Parker's confidence.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
And that was like his moment where you realize like this guy is special.
Yep. No, and it was clearly obvious, and it was like at one point the first topic of conversation that summer was like, man, Devontae Parker is having a very, very quiet camp. And then it's like all of a sudden you watch a little bit more. It's like, Yeah, because the dude's on him he's like on him like white on rice every solitary second of the practice. It was bad, man.
I forget who the court. Oh, that was Tannehill. No, that was it Cutler or Tannehill?
Well, depending. We're talking 2017 was Cutler, because remember Tannehill blew out his ACL very early in camp. But let's take a detour from minicamp because we have to address the elephant in the room. We'd be remiss, and who knows how long I'm going to be on that topic. The topic obviously is Dalvin Cook, who was officially released by the Vikings, much to your surprise, I know, much to my surprise. Officially released on Friday. Betting odds already are out in terms of his next team, and the Dolphins are the favorites at even money. And I think you and I both would maintain the same position that, yeah, it's going to happen if Dalvin is willing to play ball with the Dolphins, pun intended, in terms of the amount of money he's willing to accept.
Here is how I look at it and how I've explained it to our peers. And because we sit around and give people an inside baseball, we sit around in the media rooms and all your favorite media contingents, we sit there and we discuss and we debate these things. We hammer them out. We talk it out. Now we don't always agree, but everybody understands everybody's point of opinion. And here's my point of opinion about the Dolphins. And I wrote this for our side from the very early and I lumped in Dolphins.com, and I lumped in Derrick Henry in this. Okay, this is a nice team. It's a nice roster. Don't listen to Big Fangio because he'll make you think it's not a really good roster. Defensively, he's not happy. We'll get into that a little bit later. And I agree with him. I understand where his point of opinion is. But this is a playoff team. They're 10, 11 wins. No, if they're not ravished by injuries. You know what Dalvin Cook makes you? He makes you one of 4 or 6 Super Bowl contenders. Dalvin Cook makes you potentially the number 1 offense in the NFL. You're already number 6, and you had a horrendous December and January at number 6 with a wide receiver who now comes out and confesses, yeah, I really didn't know the offense. I was just out there freestyling.
We'll touch on that a little bit later on. Also, I have some thoughts on that. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm referring to Tyreek Hill, who yesterday told me like, yeah, I didn't understand the offense. I was just out there playing on athleticism. Poop disagrees, but hey,
yeah.
Poop is like bullcrap. But add Dalvin Cook to this offense, you are a Super Bowl contender. You know where I stand with the run game. I'm a big proponent, big believer in the run game. And if you listen to a podcast that Mike McDaniel just did with, was it Barstool guys? I can't remember who they did it with.
People. People.
Yes. They spent 15 minutes talking about the run game and his obsession with the run game. And he had an admission that he became infatuated with the pass game. And kind of you understand based on what you've seen during the offseason program, hey, there's going to be a recommitment to the run game. There's going to be a refocus to the run game. You're smiling.
Will there.
You do not buy it.
I'm not buying it because, again, what makes this offense special? Point blank.
The speedsters.
Stupid speed on the outside. I'm sorry?
They can benefit the run game. You can take five throws to those guys away and give it to your run game and be a better team. Do you not agree with that?
I completely agree with you on that, but that doesn't make him a run-oriented team. If you do not maximize what you have in Tyreek Hill, who's not getting 2,000 yards, by the way, even though it's a great goal, because, again, there's too many mouths to feed, and it's not like he does
109 yards a game for time. What are you talking about? Of course he can get 2,000.
Except that nobody's ever done it. Last year, he set career highs. Hold on. Set career highs in receptions. And by the way, and let me preface this by saying Tyreek Hill's a complete stud. He was a team MVP last year. To me, I was making the argument he should have been in the MVP conversation when the Dolphins were 8-3. So nothing but respect for the guy. I mean, crazy talented. This notion that he didn't know, and well, let's also be honest, and Tyreek kind of likes to say stuff for effect. Let's not kid ourselves.
You know him better than I do, but yeah,
pay attention to everything he says. And I was like practically every time he spoke to the media last off season, last training camp, and during the regular season, he likes to say hyperbolic stuff. Okay. So are we really to believe he didn't know the offense? It's an offense that based on timing like this, when he got himself open very quickly and then Tua and him connected and had that nice thing going. Come on.
Easy. I talked to my man, Pac-Man Jones, who's played at a very high level cornerback in the NFL. And because he talked about that on the Pat McAfee show when he saw the clip that I put out there. And and he said it very well could have been done. All he does, he's like, all Tyreek runs is goes, comebacks, and option routes. He runs them from all three spots. Tua knows what he's going to do. If everybody else is on the same page, Tua knows what he's going to do. And so he knows what the options are. So when Tyreek goes in the slot, Tyreek's just running an option route. He's just going to the open space.
And but where does I didn't know the offense come in. You don't think that's still what they're going to continue to do with Tyreek? Tyreek scares the living crap out of defenses with his speed. They're scared of it, so they give him a lot of cushion to where now he can go. He can see where the coverage is, and he's going to do the same thing this year. And again, there's too many mouths to feed on offense to really expect. Remember when Calvin Johnson put up those crazy numbers in Detroit? Go ahead, name me the receiver on the other side.
Yeah, but it's 109 yards. You're telling me you don't think Tyreek can give you 109 yards a game?
You're asking that, but you're asking that for 17 consecutive games.
Yes, all he has to do is stay healthy.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but there will come a game when the opposing defensive coordinator is going to say, you know what? I will live with Jalen Waddle killing us in this game and Robbie Chosen. Tyreek Hill is not going to get 100 yards on us if I have to put 3 guys on him.
And that's fair. And then there will be a game he'll have 203 yards or 177 yards.
He had like 3 of those last year over $1.70.
Exactly. It eventually evens all out. All I'm asking you is, do you think he can average 109 yards a game?
It's never been done, so no. And again, now you're arguing against yourself. You just said you want to see a bigger commitment to the running game. That's going to take away from the passing game. So that's going to take away from Tyreek. Or are we just taking the targets away from the other guys?
But the running game can also benefit Tyreek. You put a Dalvin Cook in that backfield where Dalvin Cook, Tyreek Hill, Chosen Anderson,
Robbie Chosen, get it right. Robbie Chosen.
God damn it. Robbie, whatever his name is today, Chosen. He's going to officially become a one-name guy for me. I'm no longer going to write whatever his first name is. He's just Chosen.
The new guy.
He's not
wearing number 3.
Yeah, the Chosen one. I'll give him a new last name. He's the Chosen one. You should have thought about that. Listen, how do you cover that? Like Tyreek, a Waddle, Chosen, Dalvin Cook. I don't even care who else is on the field. How do you cover that? You give me a 6th offensive lineman.
Here's the thing, though, except that some teams did cover that at the end of last year, where they kind of had a stip. Well,
not with Chosen.
Not with Dalvin Cook, correct?
Not with Robbie Chosen.
We expect him to make that kind of impact. My whole point with Tyreek is he had put up really good, consistent numbers in Kansas City. The last year, let's not kid ourselves, he was the focal point of the passing game, even though Jalen... He
was a focal point in Kansas City for one season. He was a primary target in Kansas City's offense one time in his career.
I understand that. My point is that last year, like, is it not possible that last year was, in terms of numbers, that's as good as it's going to do? I'm sorry?
You think last year was the best he was going to do? The best he could do?
Are you saying that that's impossible, that last year was going to be as good as it's going to get in terms of numbers? I'm not talking about in terms of ability.
He didn't even have a good quarterback for 5 games.
He had 177 yards against the Vikings. You do understand that, right? He had 101 yards against the Bengals after Tua left the game. You understand that as well, correct?
No, I didn't. But
so
okay, so he didn't, bro. He didn't have. That's Tyreek. Like, put him with Tua.
My point precisely, that basically he's going to put up numbers.
You backdoored me into one of your arguments.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it's not an argument. I'm just pointing out the facts. He had 100, and in that Minnesota game, basically, there was a quarterback change early in the second quarter, and he still wound up with a $177. So, and I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's great that he has that target of 2,000 yards. I love it. Hell, if he can get to 2,500, that's even better. I'm just saying, realistically speaking, personally, I would rather the offense have more balance and Tyreek's numbers go down a little bit as opposed to being extraordinarily Tyreek centric, because ultimately that's going to benefit the team and makes them tougher to defend.
I don't think he would object to anything that makes them a better team. So I will agree with you from that standpoint. If they have the right running back, yeah, Tyreek will drop his 2,000-yard goal. But I still think he can average 109 yards a game. Like that to me is easy. Again,
nobody's ever done it. Nobody's ever done it. So anyway, we're good. Let's with Dalvin Cook. You're in agreement with me? There's no way this happens unless he is very reasonable, putting it politely, in terms of what he wants in terms of money. If it becomes like DeAndre Hopkins apparently has taken visits Tennessee and New England. So obviously, dude's going for the cash, because if he's looking for a major contender, those ain't it.
Here's my stance on the Dalvin Cook situation. If you're all in and you want to be a Super Bowl contender, you make it happen, especially if the Jets are your main competition. I would be offering Dalvin Cook a 2-year, $12 million deal, $6 per year, $10 million signing bonus. So you walk away with 12 for one season from the $2 million you were getting from the Vikings that was guaranteed. Hope it's not offset language, otherwise, it is what it is. And then you're getting 10 this year from the Dolphins. And I'm giving you a 2-year deal because, as all players want, they want to protect themselves against injury. Now, if I give you 10 in the first year, that lowers my cap number. And then next year, we could just add on another year. If you would like, we'll always give you that protection if it works out. If it doesn't work out, then I'm paying you $2 million in real money for next season. And it would be easy to move you for $2 million because I've already endured the cap hit. And if you're asking Steve Ross, hey, Steve, I need you to write me a $10 million check so we can go get a Pro Bowl back, his response would be, when do you need it? Wouldn't it? So
probably, yeah. So basically, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but if I get you correctly, you want to take money away from Christian Wilkins to give it to Dalvin Cook.
Bye-bye. Not Christian Wilkins, Raekwon Davis, Zach Sealer. Everybody always makes this about me and Christian. We're fine.
No, I had to go there.
Listen, I'm taking it away from Connor Williams. I'm taking it away from Dalvin Cook. I'm taking it away from Zach Sealer. I'm taking it away from Raekwon Davis. I'm taking it away from everybody with this understanding. Gentlemen, we are now officially one of the top 4 teams in the NFL. This is your chance. This is our window. Let's worry about later. Everybody is okay. Connor, if you would like to have the security, I'll offer you another extension, giving you $9 million a year. And that would be cap friendly to me. It would even create cap space. You don't want to take that? Oh, c'est la vie. Then you're just playing on the $7 million a year. And mind you, my number one priority, and I said this already, would have been to extend Connor Williams. Now, what is reasonable to me versus him, probably two different conversations. Maybe he wants 11. I'm offering 9. You know, but I'm not worried about it if I have to go spend $6 million in cap space on, it would probably be a little bit less. If I have to spend $4 million in cap space to sign Dalvin Cook, because when Miami adds Dalvin Cook, in my opinion, they now jump into the Kansas City Chiefs, the Cincinnati Bengals realm of NFL teams. And I'm not even putting the Jets in there because they haven't earned it.
Buffalo, I'm sorry.
Oh, damn, I forgot Buffalo. Mm-hmm. And the Buffalo Bills. It's a very talented AFC. Yes.
Okay.
You got to keep up with the Joneses. And here's the thing. Everybody says, but they have running backs. And they do have running backs. They're adequate. They are the Honda Accord of running backs. Maybe.
Oh, the Honda Accord. Okay.
Maybe I'll give Mostert, who I have respect for. He is the Toyota Avalon of running backs. Like
no Nissans in there. No Nissans.
I wouldn't disrespect him like that.
No, listen, my wife and I drive Nissan, so you're disrespecting us now? Nice.
I'm judging.
I want to hang up on you right now.
I honestly am judging it. I had a Nissan Xterra. That was a piece of doo-doo.
Okay.
So
a piece of poop?
A piece of poop, yes. But my point is, I like the Toyota Avalon. It's a comfortable ride. Maybe I have leather seats. If you give me the opportunity to upgrade to a Mercedes, I'm taking it. Wouldn't I?
I don't. You make good points. Again, you and I both know it would go against their pattern in terms of dealing with running backs because they have not invested. But these are extraordinary circumstances for this franchise because
hold on, I think they gave Chase Edmonds $6 million.
2 for 12. 2 for 12.
Give him the Chase Edmonds deal. Okay. I'm not asking you to make a ridiculous investment. If you're giving Chase Edmonds $6 million, you tell me you won't give Dalvin Cook $6 million?
No, that's a very good point.
Like you gave Chase Edmonds, who hadn't.
I think that's what it was, unless I'm severely mistaken. I believe that's what
I believe it was 2 for 16, 2 for 12.
And flop, they wound up giving him away after 3 months.
I was surprised they found a taker.
Well, he was a thrown in the Chubb trade, so it worked out well. No, and the other point too is, and
damn,
again,
so they don't have.
Sorry.
Yeah. So Denver doesn't have him anymore?
No, he wound up with Tampa Bay. He's in Tampa Bay right now.
So he got released after 1 year. Wow, that's
his contract right now became a free agent.
Contract right now.
No, his contract didn't run out because he was 2 for 12. So yeah, they released him or something. Okay.
That's not the point.
This is where I mentioned earlier, we're allowed to change our opinions. Things vary, because my first thought was like, no, that's not. Be careful. I believe your button is on mute. You're on mute right now. That wouldn't work.
No, I'm not on mute.
Oh, you're not on mute. Okay. Says on. Anyway, this is where I kind of like, because I mean, again, 2 for 12 is not, to me, was not necessarily going big for a running back. And at that price, and these are extenuating circumstances, and the Dolphins are in go for it mode, which is pretty obvious with all the big name acquisitions they've made.
Here's a reason why the 2 for 12 is important. One, and this is just, I'm throwing a hypothetical at you here, because I will say this with all the confidence in the world. I do the NFL business better than 90% of my peers, because I've worked very hard to study the business end of it, because it was something I came in and I didn't understand. When you do the 2 for 12, you give him that second year insurance. If he just takes a 1 year deal with anybody else, because nobody's got real money to give him right now. I mean, yeah, there are teams that have real money. Actually, I take that back. There are a lot of teams that have real money. They're just not going to spend it. They're the Milwaukee Brewers of NFL teams. They're sitting on their cap space for a reason.
That's a reference.
And it's important that you put out the most money this year, which is why the lofty, heavy signing bonus. Nobody's going to give him $10 million this year to get him to 12 for what he would totally take home. And that was more than what he was initially going to take home, which was 10 point something.
So you do what in terms of what, $10 million signing bonus, $2 million in salary, and then
base salary would be the veteran minimum, and then the next year we actually can't be. It probably have to be a $10 million signing bonus because we need to leave $1 million each for the veteran minimum. So probably 10. What? Yeah, I said 10
it'll
million.
Be spread out by, which will be spread out 5 and 5 for cap purposes, and he gets.
So you're making your minimum player. I pay you 10 up front, and you're a minimum player for the next 2 years. And I have you for 2 years. You've got an injury protection. Next year, you have a great season. You come back to the table, and we have to sit there and renegotiate to get you another year. If you're a flop, then you're here and easily tradable commodity. So that's how I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Now it'll be interesting to see if it gets done because he clearly wants it to get done. He's put out way more than enough.
That was subtle. The picture of him at Hard Rock Stadium, that was very subtle. Holy moly!
Don't forget about the highlight of him playing against Miami.
Was that him or were the Vikings doing that?
No, Vikings, yes.
Him, I'm talking about Dalvin Cook himself put on his Instagram stories a picture of himself in the Vikings uniform at Hard Rock Stadium. But he
also put a video of himself running
that's what I was
for a touchdown against the Dolphins.
And if you recall, in that game, he had like a 53-yard touchdown to basically end things in the fourth quarter.
I believe that was the one.
Move on. So you've been on board all along. I'm kind of going over here on your side of here. I disappeared from the screen, but that's basically what I'm doing. Vic Fangio spoke to the media, and I want to address this very, very quickly. So the first question right off the bat was addressing the Adam Schefter report from May, where he basically was suggesting that Vic Fangio was all set to become the DC with the Eagles, if not for Arizona tampering with Jonathan Gannon a couple of days after the NFC Championship game. And my question all along has been, and it's never been answered, and I've dug some things a little bit, and I still can't find an answer, is what the hell does Arizona tampering with Jonathan Gannon have to do with keeping Vic Fangio from succeeding Jonathan Gannon after he left as the Eagles DC? And it's not like Vic Fangio shot down the whole thing because he said it's possible, not denying and not confirming. Okay, thanks for the clarification. Oh, Jesus.
I mean, the fact that he addressed it and they basically admitted it, let's be real about this situation. Boss Ross's big bucks is the reason why he's here.
But those big bucks were always there. So unless he was all set to become DC with the Eagles, and word got back to the Dolphins, and Boss Ross was like, "Okay, how much more do you need?" And he doesn't want. And see, that would, playing conspiracy theorist, that would somehow make a little bit of sense because that's maybe not necessarily something that Vic Fangio would want out there. Am I right?
Don't matter to me. It don't matter to me how you got the girl as long as you got the girl. Like.
That is true. It's just a weird story. And I know I get questions here. It was, what have we seen from him? I mean, all the early returns are encouraging. Oh, let's address one of the comments he made because you kind of referenced it. Are you going to be stuck in that pose for a while there, Omar? Uh-oh, your screen's frozen. So now I'm doing a solo because Omar's screen has frozen, and I was just going to address very quickly, and I'm going to end it solo because, again, Omar's feed has become incapacitated, but Vic Fangio said something to the effect that there's a lot of high-end talent on the roster, and at certain spots, there are other guys who are going to have to step up because they're young players who maybe have not had the opportunity to do that. On the one hand, we could look at it as, is it an issue of there's a lack of talent at other spots? Well, maybe not. It could be an issue of also they have some guys who will get more opportunities and who have to develop and step up. We know who the key guys are. We're talking about Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey, Christian Wilkins. That's 5 frontline guys. Javon Hollins, another one we could add. Well, that leaves 5 spots in the starting defense with guys at the positions of an interior defensive lineman, Raekwon Davis. Could be Emmanuel Agba, could be Jerome Baker, could be David Long Jr., the newcomer from the Tennessee Titans. The other safety, whether it be newcomer Deshaun Elliott, whether it be Brandon Jones coming back from his ACL injury, somebody else is going to have to step up. But this is a defense that has a lot of front-end talent, and that ultimately, or those are the guys who are going to have to carry this defense if it's going to reach the goals that everybody hopes that it does, and that's to be, let's say, a top 10 defense at the very least. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Sorry about Omar's technical difficulties, but he was on this discussion, debate, show, podcast, whatever you want to call it, for pretty much a good chunk of it. So again, you can find, this is going to be on YouTube under the All Dolphins podcast, as well as anywhere you find your podcast on the Fans First Sports Network under Miami Dolphins Insider. Omar and I are going to be back at this early next week, probably Monday. Until then, catch you guys later.